Do you have a POS? Have you ever driven a POS? Would you like to drive a POS? Oh, the POS is the best kind of car around. Hi, welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and I'm going to be talking about a POS in my basement. Okay, so first of all, what is the POS, right? Okay. There's a lot of pilots out there. They drive a POS. I've driven a POS for a long time, and if you don't know what the POS stands for, it stands for paid off sedan. Okay, so this is why we need. I was trying to figure out. The other day or yesterday I went flying. Okay, it was a beautiful day, and I had a little bit of a drive to get out to the airport I was going to, and it was like just a beautiful day. And as I'm driving along in my car, I don't have a POS right now because it's not a sedan, it's a station wagon. But the it was a bit of a drive, and I was thinking about, you know what, if you're a pilot in Canada, and probably a lot of other places too, but if you're a pilot in Canada, you better be ready to drive because you're just driving. I mean, I've had it where just about everybody I know has been driving all over Northern Ontario or driving out to Calgary or through the backwoods of British Columbia or moving from, Newfoundland down to Toronto. There's just, you're going to be in your car a lot. Or even if you're just hanging out and, oh, I live in Barrie and I have to drive into Pearson every day. Well, you're spending like an hour in your car. You're going to be spending a lot of time in your car. So when you're a pilot, so that's why a pilot should drive a POS, a paid off sedan. So, anyways, yeah, it's and another thing there too is that whenever you are going to be working as a pilot, it's going to be at an airport, and then the airport, it might not be served by a bus, and it could be quite a long drive out of town, and maybe you can't afford a taxi. I know when I lived in Sudbury, the fastest I ever made it from downtown out to the airport was, I think the fastest I made it was 25 minutes. And usually you can count on a half an hour. So, figure that's an hour of driving a day if you were going to be working at the airport there. So, yeah, the best thing to have is a POS. So now I was also thinking, I mean, I was lucky before the car I have now. I had a great POS. It was a 2000 Toyota Corolla. My parents were just going to basically get rid of it, so they gave it to me. And it had a little bit of rust on it. And it was, but anyways, by the time I ended up junking it, it was really, oh man, I missed that car because it was so cool having a car that you just didn't care about. It was like there'd be rust popping up on it, and then I got a tub of a little can of trim clad rust paint, like Rust-Oleum kind of stuff, and then I got some disposable brushes from the dollar store, and just every fall and every spring the rust is popping out. I had some flat gray, so I just blob it on there. Hey, there we go. It looks good as new. And then I was kind of thinking about that POS. By the time I got rid of it, it had I think it was 475,000 kilometers on it, which is in miles about, just a guess, probably 300. Oh no, probably about 280,000 miles on it. And yeah, it was just like I just had to. Like, it was cool because like I had a cracked windshield and there's rust all over it, and then one time I closed the door and a bunch of rust fell out of the door. So I was like, oh, I better get some Bondo on here. So Bondo is fantastic. If it's a hole, you just blob this mesh on there, mix up this little epoxy stuff, you blob it on, and it gets solid like cement. And then you get your tub of paint and blob it on there. Hey, no rust, right? And then if you give it a kick or you close the door and the Bondo falls off, you just put more Bondo on it. I had to put some duct tape on it once to put the Bondo over because there was nothing there. Anyways, yeah, so Toyota Corollas are fantastic as a POS, as a pilot POS. Highly recommend the Toyota Corolla. And you don't even have to when you got the POS and it's just this car that's just a utility function. You don't have to wash it. You don't have to do anything. Just let her go, man. Rust, more paint. So that's pretty cool. And so the Toyota Corolla is a good one. I've also known others that have other pilots have a really good luck with Honda Civics and Honda Accords. Those have been great for a lot of pilots. The one thing to watch out for those is to make sure that the timing belt has been changed. Now, depending on the year, I think it is. If the timing belt, if it breaks, you can damage your engine. So you just got to make sure that the timing belt's been done. I had a '98 Honda Prelude. I had the that one. I replaced the timing belt on that one. And oh boy, that Prelude was nice, but it just rusted out. I ended up having to get rid of it. That was that's an example of that Prelude. I should have had snow tires on that one when I was driving it. But anyways, yeah. So another thing to look for is any POS that you get. It should have good gas mileage. So I mean, some people, if you're a pilot and you think, oh, I'm going to be working in the bush or whatever, you don't really want to be getting it like a great big monster 4x4 truck. It's they'll suck gas like crazy, and with the amount of kilometers that you have to drive in Canada, you can just bankrupt yourself on these big trucks. Generally, you don't see too many pilots, or if you do see a pilot with a truck like that, he's either senior in his career or her career and making lots of money, but starting off, they're going to be dumping that in a year because you just can't afford the gas. Now, another pretty good car would be a just like an older Dodge minivan, like Caravan, not the newer. Oh, I should know. They make it in Windsor. The new. It's not coming to my mind. Anyways, you want the older, the Dodge minivan. There, those things go forever. They're a little bit hard on gas, but you put down the stow and go seats, and you can put your whole apartment in there and move across the country. That's another. I don't know, another option, but I would still stick to the smaller, better gas mileage cars. Don't think about making car payments on a Tesla or something. There's nowhere to charge a Tesla up north, and so it's like Pacifica. Oh, thank you, Mon Amour. You'd think I would get that. My parents have one, so it's like yeah. So the don't get the Pacifica. It's a little bit too expensive. Get one that's a bit older for the minivan if you want to do that. So what else can I tell you here? Another little tip. Now, I'll give you a little history of the pilot car too, because I remember talking to some older mechanics and some older pilots. Oh, and I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on a sec. Not prepared. Yeah, I didn't want to sneeze all over the camera, and then it turned out to be a false alarm. Who would have thought? So I guess I'm not a prepared pilot with some Kleenex. Yeah, so there was some older mechanics and pilots that I've talked to. They were big fans of the old Volkswagen Rabbit diesels, and I was fortunate enough to drive one of these. One of the guys I worked with up in Sault Ste. Marie at a machine shop, he bought this old Volkswagen Rabbit diesel. It was a little underpowered, but it got phenomenal gas mileage. And the pilots and the mechanics were saying that because they didn't have back in the 70s, early 80s when the Rabbit was around, they didn't have all these sensors and everything on the engine, so they could just grab some like waste fuel from turbine planes, so they could put some Jet A in there, which is basically diesel fuel, and they'd run the car for free, just because using waste diesel fuel. So that was one thing that was older pilots and mechanics might remember something like that. I did something similar when I was at Sioux College. The first summer I was there, I had a 1979 Suzuki GS 750 motorcycle. And it was designed to run on leaded gas and high octane. And so, if you're a pilot, what kind of gas does an airplane have? Leaded gas and high octane. So I'd always try to make sure that if I was flying on Saturday, I'd kind of wait around, and then when all the instructors are out up flying, and I'd sneak into the maintenance room back there with somebody, and we'd get like a hose, and so they had this big 100 low lead waste gas canister, suck that, then drain it into we'd run it through some felt, and the felt would take out any water or impurities in there, stick it in a gas can. Then I stuck it in my motorcycle. I ran the whole summer on waste gas from the from the college, admitting my theft. I don't care. I got my diploma now. Who cares? But yeah, don't steal. Actually, there were some guys that when I was there, they got in trouble for stealing this garbage. It was like this leftover junk out back. They're like, oh, this is cool, an aileron. I'll take it home. It's been sitting there for 30 years, and oh well, it was a bit of a drama, but they stayed in the program. And one of the guys now is, where is he flying at? Jazz, I think. Anyways, yeah, he's where was he flying? He's yeah. Anyways, of those guys, there's two guys. One graduated, and he's at Jazz, I think, right now. So where was I talking about there? I'm just yakking in my basement here. Okay, so oh, another little interesting story about vehicles, and if you're a pilot, if you are working in the Northwest Territories. Now, this is a cool thing that one of my students did. I got a call on a Friday afternoon, and this guy was working the ramp up in Yellowknife. And I live in Windsor, which is, so that's about, what is it? I Googled it. It's like 3,000 kilometers away, straight line, but you can't drive that straight direct. Or what was that? 1,800 kilometers or 1,800 miles, 3,000 kilometers. Anyways, so this guy calls me up on Friday and he says, I want to do my instructor rating. And I'm like, oh, do you live in Windsor? He's like, no, I'm in Yellowknife, and it's on Friday. And I said, when do you want to start? He says, I want to start as soon as possible. I'm like, well, like Monday? He's like, yep. I said, okay, Monday at 10 o'clock, show up in my office. And then he says, okay, see you there. Click. And then I'm thinking, the guy's living up in Yellowknife. He's got to come all the way down here. How's he going to show up in Windsor, at 10 o'clock on the next Monday? Yeah, whatever, buddy. Because when you're the chief flight instructor, you get people calling up saying, hey, can I get a job there? And I say, oh, do you have an instructor rating? No, but I'm going to get one in another 3 years. I'm like, okay, well, call me up in 3 years. So I figured this guy was done. And then Monday morning, the guy came in right at 10 o'clock. All right, I'm ready to get my instructor rating. And he came down, he got an apartment, he got all this stuff, and he bought a car. And but this is the cool thing about his car is that in the Yellowknife, in the Northwest Territories, it's not required for you to do any kind of safety check on your vehicles, which would make sense because if you got a truck up in where there's no roads, how's anything going to get inspected? So he took his license plate from his car up in Yellowknife, stuck it in his luggage, hopped on a plane, went down to his parents' place in Toronto. Went out, bought a $500 car, Honda Civic, slapped the plate on it, transferred the ownership online with Yellowknife, called up his insurance company and everything. And he was all legit, bought a $500 car with the Yellowknife plate on it. And when I went out and saw his car, I'm thinking, how can you drive from Yellowknife to Windsor in 2 days? That's impossible. But he told me the story how he did that. And yeah, so it worked out really worked out well for him. So remember that if you're in Yellowknife or Northwest Territories, just slap your license plate into your luggage and fly down to wherever you want. And then, yeah, you go buy yourself a car. It might end up being cheaper than driving, that could be a lot of gas. Okay. And yeah, so there's, I have another question here from Mona Moore. Would you recommend a Cadillac Coupe de Ville? Well, Cadillac Coupe de Villes are very cool. I had a Cadillac Sedan de Ville, and it was a paid-off sedan, but actually Cadillacs are absolutely horrible. I mean, they're super cool. I bought it off a friend of mine for I think it was $1,000 or $1,200, and it was. If you have a Cadillac, you might be able to get it for a really cheap price, but you're going to pay. I needed all kinds of stuff done on it. It was sitting for a while. I needed new, new wheel bearings, new exhaust, new gas tank. Before I got rid of it, it was needed a new power steering pump. I had to put a new rad in it. It conked out on me once. It was just like, where was I? Blind River broke down. And so some nice guy in Blind River was like, "Oh, I'll help you out." And it was on a Sunday, and I was on my way to the zoo. And my girlfriend was with me, and we just went to this car parts place, and the helpful people in Blind River. That's I think there was a song about that. Didn't Neil Young write something about that? But yeah, I mean, Blind River is a great place to break down. Oh, and if you are driving coast to coast and you're driving around through Blind River, Ontario, watch your speed. There's a bunch of brand new OPP officers there in Blind River. That's where they send them all, and they're sitting there with their radar guns, just waiting to get you. I got a ticket there once because and then I went back to my shop in Sault Ste. Marie, and I'm like, I got a ticket. And they're like, what? At Blind River? I'm like, yeah, how'd you know? Oh, they're always there. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. Same with Chatham, Ontario on the 401. Don't be speeding through there. That's a lot of OPP. And Mona Moore agrees. So so basically we're gonna wrap this up here a little bit. I'm just rambling about cars and stuff. I like talking cars. I like talking airplanes in my basement. And so I guess the thing is, no matter what, no matter where you are in life, it always helps out to, or like like I always say with any tool, is get the best that you can afford. So you can't, when you're starting off as a new pilot, you can't afford a $50,000 truck. You just can't afford it. Don't make any payments. Get yourself a $5,000 10-year-old Honda something, Toyota something. Get some snow tires on it and a new battery and a pair of jumper cables, and then go out and be a pilot. So so just buy the best that you can afford for your POS. And that's about it for today. And then it looks like Michelle's in here watching too. Hey, Michelle, For the Soul art by Michelle Plunkett. She's in the chat here today. She's been doing a lot of really cool shorts and stuff like that with her artwork. You should go check it out. And subscribe to her, subscribe to me, the Super Pilotish channel here. I'll be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And there we go. We're going to shut her down. And thanks for watching. Bye.